I will tell you about the stage we are at with the current American administration, which, as everyone knows, is making, in my opinion, quite energetic and sincere efforts to stop the hostilities, stop the crisis, and reach agreements that are of interest to all parties involved in this conflict, in order to create long-term conditions for peace both between our countries and in Europe and in the world as a whole. If at the next stage we reach agreements in the area of control over strategic offensive weapons.
Ahead of the key Alaska summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin praised the U.S. President Donald Trump, saying that his administration is making sincere efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Speaking in Moscow on August 14th, Putin praised what he called Washington's energetic push to stop the fighting and end the crisis. The comments came a day before his planned summit with U.S. President Donald Trump in Alaska, set for Friday. Putin told top military and civilian officials at the Kremlin that talks with the U.S. aim to secure peace in Ukraine. He said negotiations are also focused on building long-term stability between Moscow, Washington, and Europe. Putin suggested the two countries could reach new agreements on nuclear arms control during upcoming discussions. He noted that Russia and the United States hold the world's largest stockpiles of nuclear weapons. Remember, the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, the last major arms control pact between the two nations, expires in 2026. Putin said the Alaska summit could pave the way for new strategic agreements to replace or extend the treaty. He described the U.S. approach under Trump as more willing to engage on both Ukraine and broader global security issues. The Alaska meeting will be the first face-to-face encounter between Trump and Putin since the new phase of the Ukraine war. It comes amid intense international scrutiny over the possibility of U.S.-Russia cooperation to end the conflict.
Dear colleagues, good afternoon. I asked you to gather today in order to inform you about how the negotiation process on the Ukrainian crisis is going, how the bilateral negotiations with the Ukrainian delegation are going. One way or another, many of those present know, of course, in general terms, I will tell you in more detail. That is the first thing. And secondly, I will tell you about the stage we are at with the current American administration, which, as everyone knows, is making, in my opinion, quite energetic and sincere efforts to stop the hostilities, stop the crisis, and reach agreements that are of interest to all parties involved in this conflict, in order to create long-term conditions for peace both between our countries and in Europe and in the world as a whole. If at the next stage we reach agreements in the area of control over strategic offensive weapons.
President Zelensky was on the call. I would rate it a 10, very, very friendly. I know the leaders because I was at NATO, as you know. I took it from 2% to 5%, 2% that wasn't paid, 5% that is paid, which is trillions of dollars in defense capability. No, it was always going to be, I was going to meet with President Putin, and then after that, I'm going to call the leaders and President Zelensky. I'm going to call President Zelensky, and then I'll call, probably in that order, the leaders. There's a very good chance that we're going to have a second meeting, which will be more productive than the first, because the first is I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing. Again, this is Biden's war. This isn't my war. He got us into this thing, and it should have never happened. This war would have never happened if I were president. But it is what it is, and I'm here to fix it, and I'm here to stop 6,000, 7,000 people last week. 7,213 people last week were killed, mostly soldiers. But missiles being lobbed into towns don't exactly help either, but mostly soldiers. And Ukrainian and Russian, they're not American soldiers, but if we can save a lot of lives, it would be a great thing. I've stopped 5 wars in the last 6 months. And on top of that, we wiped out the nuclear capability of Iran, obliterated it. It's turned out to be a correct word, by the way, because, you know, some of the press said, well, maybe it wasn't obliteration. It was obliteration. And we're going to meet with, I would say, the second meeting. If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately. And we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place, now there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
Does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes. We're doing that and doing some other things, and we're going to also fix up a place called Washington, D.C. We're going to make it so beautiful again. We're going to be redoing the parks, redoing the grass. You know, grass is a lifetime like people have a lifetime. And the lifetime of this grass has long been gone. When you look at the parks where the grass is old, tired, exhausted, we're going to redo the grass with the finest grasses. I know a lot about grass because I own a lot of golf courses, and if you don't have good grass, you're not in business very long, Lindsey Graham. By the way, you have very good poll numbers, Lindsey. I just saw. Congratulations. But a few short months ago, I became chairman of the Kennedy Center, and we completely reversed it. We reversed what was happening. We ended the woke political programming, and we're restoring the Kennedy Center as the premier venue for performing arts anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. This has the potential to be anywhere in the world. We're going to make it something that people can't even believe. We have some unbelievable plans, and ultimately it's about the talent you get, though. You know, you can have a beautiful building, you can have nice marble walls, you can have nicely done columns, as I was saying, but if you don't have the talent on the stage, and we're going to get the best talent in the world. To that end, the world-renowned musical Les Mis had a phenomenal 5-week sold-out run this summer, beat projected revenues by 35%, and we've raised over $10 million in private funds from a lot of generous donors, and we closed the $26 million budget shortfall that they had before we got here. And with the help of Congress, we secured the critical funding necessary to rebuild the building, and we're going to get all brand new, highest level seats, magnificent seats, and it's going to be all new. We could have taken the existing ones and do a little paint job, a little fabric, but it's not the same thing. So we'll be taking out next season. All of the seats will be taken out. The room is being completely rebuilt.